Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Spiritism at Noon. We are currently studying the book Empty Lives, written by the Spirit Joanna de Angelis and a psychography by Divaldo Franco. We have covered already a few lessons. Today we are going to be studying lesson 11. And of course, all those lessons are individual topics for those who have not joined before. There is no problem in following the subject because each chapter is a different subject. And today I'm going to share my screen with you. The subject we are going to be talking about is that Joanna de Angelis puts here for us is semi-trance. So let us see what she wants to tell us about the semi-trance. For a minute there, we could think that she's talking about mediumship, right? To get into a state of trance, but she's actually talking about our day-to-day lives. And so let's start reading as we always do, and then we stop for commenting and questions. So semi-trance, the dense fog of a vibratory nature that hovers over today's society, generates a numbing toxin that has put nearly everyone in a semi-trance state. Like ghosts wandering aimlessly about, the human masses are mirrored in bands of deleterious energy without the ability to understand what is happening. From one aspect, these bands draw them into the low of mind-numbing noise and exacerbated libertinism. Or they know their discernment and civility, and they let themselves be drawn into just about anything. Numbed by crude sensations of primitivism, they opt for strange behaviors that are far removed from those of love and responsibility that life inexorably imposes. Herded along, nourished by this hypnotic force, they indulge in base experiences that satisfy false physical needs, especially those that belong to the primary instincts. So let us stop here for a minute to see what Joanna de Angelis is trying to tell us. Although we have been constantly talking that we are in a period of transition going from a world of trials and tournaments to a world of regeneration, and we are just, about the time of this transition, actually even starting in the new phase of Earth as a world of regeneration. It doesn't mean that we are going to be seeing around us just progress and goodwill and all the good virtues that we have already acquired and some that we still have to acquire. On the contrary, she says that we still are going through a period where the prevailing idea and ideals are much more material related than spiritual. And because of that, and because of our, let's say, inclination to go with the masses, we can be very much influenced to believe that what is current, what the majority is doing, is the good thing for us. And like, these things that sometimes we hear our children saying, everybody is doing that. Why can I not? Right? So I would say that perhaps God, we would say the same thing to God today as little children, spiritual children would say, everybody is doing that. Why can I not? Because we have already grown a conscience, and we have already understood the spiritual nature of ourselves. But the thing is, now what we see is that, people going like, in this bands, like they say, moving about this kind of energy that has not much to do with the ability to scrutinize better and to decide better what is best for them. So we start living for the moment only, thinking about experiences that will satisfy our needs now, and not thinking or weighing in this the consequences of our actions. So I think we can stop here, and if you want to say something or point out something, or
I think Usada that she says it very well. It's like everyone seems to be in this numb state. They don't know which way to turn. There's so much at one time happening that we get lost in this shovel. But if we continue, what we do here is understanding who we are, what's going on, who are we, where we came from, and why we're here. Go beyond this everyday life of just living. And so many things are happening that, we do get confused. We say, well, why is this happening? Why are they not seeing this? Why are people so blind to the fact what is going on? It's like there's so much. I think it's just there's so much. But we believe that God gives us what we can handle. So we have to get ourselves, instead of living this material life, get into living a little spiritual. But it's so hard. It's so difficult. We get bombarded with so much around us that it's easy to get lost. But we have to be alert. We have to keep our prayers and studies that are going to help us move forward, because then we're lost. We get lost. It's very easy. But what I'm saying, that life right now seems to be so confusing. So much things are happening that way before I'm a little older than everyone here, and I'm going back. It's never been so hard that I can think of. We've gone through wars, we've gone through disasters, and we've gone through it, and we somehow move on. But now, what is it? It's mind-boggling. But she's explaining it here. We have to understand what this is all about and how we can kind of change things. Oh, I'm overwhelmed.
You and everyone else, I guess. Soraya, while you were talking about it, one phrase came to my mind, the one about that Jesus said, many are called and few are chosen. And this many are called, I think we can understand the whole humanity. I think everyone is called. And few are chosen because they chose to resist till the end. But it's very much like you're saying, sometimes it seems that we are in search of an insane way of seeing, I don't know, of seeing the world changing. But this is also explained by the spirits when they say that because we are in this time of transition, and because there are still many spirits, many of us that really have the chance to weigh our possibilities and hopefully choose the better one. Many spirits of still very much inferior condition are in this planet right now. because God is good, God is mercy, God is justice, and they still have a chance. And
Yeah.
so it's their last chance, is our last chance, but we have a chance.
Yeah.
So, uh, and because we have this accumulation of spirits of this nature, this is why this is so important, what she's talking about here, the semi-trance, for us to be mindful of what we are doing, of what we are choosing for ourselves, because sometimes we just say, okay, let's go. We go with the crowd, with the mass. We go right along with what is happening, and not necessarily stop to think if that is the best course of action. And this is happening a lot because, like you said, everyone is so overwhelmed that I think we are even tired to think
Mm.
and to decide. And because of that, we let other people decide for us, and the energy of their decisions wind up impacting us as well, impacting us in our work. And this is, why she's calling our attention to that. Pay attention to whether this is really what you want according to what you already know, or if you're just going with the flow, but the flow is not going in the right direction. You already have enough to decide for yourselves.
Yeah.
And if that is not enough, then she comes saying, powerful minds from the lower realms of eroticity. Eroticity, we know there are, those that are in the spirit, the spiritual world, have instilled vile ideas in their psychic networks, and they lack the wholesome energies needed to break the magnetic bonds in which they ride. This stage, which characterizes the current social situation, is the bitter fruit of materialistic behaviors encouraged by cynical and existentialist doctrines that reduce human life to a mindless pile of cells assembled by chance. The predominance of the animal nature over this individual's spiritual nature has made them brutish, insensitive communities to the collectivism of addictive fashions and habits that misgovern the earth. Problems that love could easily solve have been neglected, and thus have become much worse due to the preference of personal enjoyment to the detriment of ethical values that represent emotional security for earthly existence. This trance is pestiferous because it vitalizes psychic miasmas, which manifest as an aggressive viruses and bacteria that infest physical constitutions that are in a state of disharmony. Illnesses and individual disorders of unknown etiology suddenly arise to decimate the unwary. Thought is the dynamo that generates such forces because the mind is what emits waves that are transformed into ideals, which are then condensed into material phenomena. At every moment, new proposal for pleasure and varieties of inconsequential forms of recreation seize the unstructured multitudes. There is an existential void that material pleasure cannot fill because it is short-lived. So here she's giving a class of physics, right? And we're not getting there. We're not going to get that deep. So she starts saying, not only we have to deal with the whole energy, the whole emission of thoughts that us incarnates are surrounding ourselves, and as a consequence emitting to others, but we also deal with the same kind of with energy that comes from the spirit realm. And many times, as we know, it's not because we die that we get a certificate of, being good or, enlightened. On the contrary, we remain exactly the same. And for some of us, seeing things clearly may be this, motivation for us to move forward. But for others, realizing how much they have immersed themselves into errors, they may simply try to live in denial. And when they live in denial, the best course of action for them is to amass multitudes, because then they can say, see, everybody is doing the same. And they can justify their errors because everybody else or many people else are doing it. And so, and here what she's saying is that our thoughts, our emotions, right, they emit energy, and energy is material, is life. And when we are sending out negative thoughts and emotions, they come with let's say, an energy that can actually lead us to even physical illnesses. It's not just emotional illnesses. So we will be open to this uh, swarm of negative energy that actually work, like she says, bacteria, viruses that us here in the material world have not even detected. There is a book by Dr. Marlene Nobry where she mentions about the periodic table of the spiritual realm. So there is much that we do not know here. And as we know, everything is matter except the spirit. So we are susceptible to all of those psychic, aggressive viruses and bacteria, as she says. So, and she says it would be so much easier if we would, instead of giving ourselves to so many negative tendencies, if we surrendered to love, to good things. It would make our life so much easier than everyone else's. So, and the thing is, because we have still not chosen this path, we try to fill up this void that we have. And this is, the empty lives, as she titles her book. And it's one bad choice after the next. So comments, questions.
A question. This process is more inconscious than conscious in most of the humanity, because many times we try to escape from not good thoughts and good feelings, and then when you look around, we feel like some bad thoughts, or instead we have like a hope as a consequence of some things. We always have like some negativities could be happening in our life. And this is why it's my question.
Yeah, Sonia, it would be nice, I guess, if it was this way. Okay. If we could somehow again transfer our responsibility. But as we have in the, if I'm not mistaken, because I don't know those questions by heart, but maybe I think it's 621 from the Spirit's book. That's This Kardec asks, where is God's laws written? And the Spirit says, in our conscience. So if it is in our conscience, even if we are acting unconsciously speaking, it means we have decided not to access what we already know as being the path of righteousness, right? Because at this point in time, 21st century, okay, I mean, there's so much for us to progress, but we have reached, I mean, we have progressed a lot. When you think about, first, second centuries, Middle Ages, okay, there's so much for us to grow, but we already know a lot. Our laws have grown. We have so many religions and philosophical doctrines that can lead us in this way. I think is very much what she's saying here, because maybe we are, tired because it's easier not to think about, just let's do what others are doing. If they are doing like this, it's because it's the right way, and we get, swallowed by all of this. But this is the reason why, uh, we have to become each time more conscious of that, of, holding ourselves and moving the horse, in the right direction. So we cannot blame others, even though this is currently prevailing. It doesn't mean that we cannot break free from that, and that there are not on the opposite side, minds incarnate and discarnate alike. They are trying to help us move away from this. So it's the process of growing, right? So yeah. The unconscious part here is our accommodation, our laziness. Sometimes, we just say, what is the point of fighting with the world? And then we just go with it. And that's why a period of transition is always hard, because we need change makers. And being a change maker is never easy.
Jasada,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt,
No. Yes.
but you mentioned a book and I didn't quite catch the author's name that included information about the periodic table in the spiritual world.
It's Marlene Nobre. I think I don't remember. I don't have the book here with me, but it's a book that she wrote that talks about Nosso Lar, the spiritual colony, and there she mentions about this spiritual periodic table. But I don't remember, and I know it's just for the time is just in Portuguese for now.
I thought I saw a reference to it at one point. That's why I was asking.
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Okay, so let's go ahead, and there is a cat asking me to open the door now. Go ahead. Okay. So every day, the degradation of morals and sentiments increases, becoming part of civilization and intoxicating unaware travelers in the physical body. Every time the human situation has become desperate, heaven has provided the opportunity for martyrs of old missionaries of the good and charity, to be reborn in the world to awaken those anesthetized in illusion. Such as spirits offer to pull out of the nefarious trance brothers and sisters who have been unable to resist the attractions of evil. During these periods, anguish dominates the emotions and suffering hides being drunk behind drunken smiles and passions that consume the masses. But anguish, in some ways, is necessary for evolution. The caterpillar that aspires to soar as a fleet butterfly twists in its chrysalis as it undergoes a complete change before leaving the ground to glide on the air currents. So does the spirit that also finds itself restricted to the blows of sometimes painful circumstances so that it may continue its ascent towards the great light. You are a member of that sublime flock, capable of morally uplifting humanity. Well, like we were saying before, we may be surrounded and it's very difficult to swing against the current, but this is what we have been called to do. Because, you know, hope exists in everyone. And even though sometimes, like you said, Sonia, we are unconsciously submerged in this, you know, bad energies, right? All of this that are happening. In a way, we all long for something better. And if we don't see something better around us, is what we will say is, what's the point, right? I mean, there is no point in trying because I don't see anyone that is living in a different way and succeeding or being happy or happier, you know. So this is why it is on our shoulders the responsibility to show others much more, you know, with actions than words, that it not only is possible but it's better, right? It's a different, better way of living. And so, of course, we are not going to call ourselves the martyrs of old, missionaries of good and charity, but they are coming, and they are a bit more awakened than others. We are here as well, and we have been put in this path to spiritual awakening, and although primarily we are doing that for ourselves, we see here that every action, every thought emission counts. So we are the ones that are, you know, trying to balance the negativity, the materialistic waves of, you know, ways of thinking that still prevails. Comments, questions?
I read one time, then we need 10 people with good thoughts to cancel one with bad thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Every time when I feel guilt, when someone says, oh, for you it's easier than because you have a good life, and my life, it's so many problems. I have a problems, but I look at my problems in different way.
Mm-hmm.
Then every time when I feel alone or different because of this behavior we try to have here, then I always think about this. it's necessary 10 people with good thoughts to cancel one with bad. Then that's why it's so important for me to keeping this lightly
Yes.
every day. Then it's
Yeah. And in a way, it's so unfair for people to judge, right? Because as we know, unfortunately, no one is rid of pain on earth at this moment or struggles. No one. And because this is the condition of this world. Even the ones that are trying to do good, let's think even about Jesus. When, Jesus had pain because he would look around and see a disciple denying, another one selling him for his ideas, another one doubting his return, let's say his spiritual nature, others, fighting because of external habits, like should I be circumcised or not, what kind of food am I going to be eating? So we all go through that. And like you said, what makes the difference is that the more mature we are spiritually speaking, the less we will allow it to affect us. It does affect, but then we will not get into the semi-trance way, like they say here, saying what's the point, nothing happens, is one bad thing after the next, or even if it's not personal, like, oh, it's war, oh, it's a pandemic, oh, it's politicians, oh, it's the financial market, oh, it's a new disease, all of those things. So we cannot say that, but I know that people has a tendency to, when they see people more balanced, they immediately assume, because their life is easier, and because they can only see it, or they cannot see past material things, they will immediately try to relate that to the material aspects of life. And yeah, it's not easy, but I thought it was so powerful. And she came here and said, you were a member of that sublime flock capable of morally uplifting humanity, and reminding us that, in order for us to become a butterfly, we go through a tremendous effort, right, to spring our wings. And this is what we're trying to do now. We are still very much like a caterpillar, the poor ugly caterpillar. But we said no more, no more. Now I want to be radiant, colorful, and fly, right? What do I have to do to become that? I want to be that, right? I can imagine the caterpillar going, about on Earth and looking at butterflies, all free and beautiful and flying, and say, I want to become that. And they say, oh, really? You can do that? Oh, really? What do I have to do? To be in isolation, to live in a cocoon, and then, have this time to meditate, to be in the desert, so to say. That is a metaphor for all this period of transformation, of spiritual growth. And then but it's absolutely entirely up to you. Oh, wow. Yeah, right.
But Christ said it, my happiness is not of this world.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Yeah.
to understand that we have in our lives all that we need. But if we don't go through certain stages in our lives of so-called studying and understand who we are, it makes it harder to understand. If you go to a person and you say what we're saying now, like Sonia said, they're not going to understand it, not yet,
Mhm.
there. And it's just a matter of time that you have to put one foot forward to move on. But if you don't understand it, it's going to take a longer time. So this is why so much is going on now. Some are there who are trying their best, but there's more than the others that are doing their best. So, it's a contradiction of who's going to get there first. I think we will get this. We will get there. It's going to take centuries. It's not right now. A lot of work, and that's what we're here for.
And you
And
see, this is one of the reasons why perhaps being older, not being really, in your 20s or 30s is easier, because we have seen a lot of life, right? After your 30s, getting into your 40s, and you are better capable of managing. You are not in this transition phase of life where go from being a youngster and establishing your path, your professional path, your family path, all of that. And then is when mostly, even though we are throwing the seeds since they are young, we may see the seeds growing, or really start sprouting more, the tree growing more after a few years, a few decades. Because this is when we have more time to reflect and not necessarily be that much distracted by, building up your life, right? And of course, there are exceptions. And this is one thing why many people think, why do we have so many more, older people in religious philosophies, and then we have the youngsters. It's not that we don't have them, but they go like we did in different phases of life, and that's what happens. So we have to be patient. We have to keep on sowing. We have to keep on giving the good examples and showing them that we are not giving up on them, right? And because this is what happens here, she says, we can be dominated by the noise that prevails on the other side, and say, I, 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 I'm a voice, an unheard voice in the middle of all that. And and the thing is, we have to convince ourselves that we are not here to scream to the world, to the world in words, but it's really in action, in attitude. Like Sonia was saying, I have problems, I have difficulties, but I have a different way of looking at life, and that's why I can cope better. And it's not fair for anyone to be judging differently, yeah. So okay, let's keep on reading this. Some who are participating in that revolutionary movement are still in the spirit world, in order to sustain those who have sacrificed themselves in the body imposed on them, and to provide them with special assistance until the final stage of their commitment, so that they may attend to that specific task of awakening to enlightenment. You will be invited to meet the challenges of the darkness and the pitfalls of evil, remaining fearless and faithful in the seemingly futile endeavor. It is a veritable war of ideas that have materialized into lives that are now in need of help and revitalization. Do not expect much understanding or emotional support. Victims of the trance are not disposed to rehabilitation, to a reunion with lucidity. And others who are also sustained by the nefarious breath will take up arms against you, inflicting pain and perverse punishments in order to discourage you. They will multiply and form well-organized groups for the battle, and you will be amazed by the weapons they will use to silence and destroy you. Stay alert and do not fight back, or you will fall into their sordid traps. Stay faithful to your commitment to Jesus, who faced the same kind of situation, always persecuted, yet never stopped loving. Do not be surprised by their small victories. Remember that the final battle is the one that decides the conflict. Such final struggle was not the crucifixion of the Master, but his resurrection, demonstrating the victory of the truth. Well, we understand, right? We understand. Uh, and and the sad thing is, like she says here, if we, you know, we could also only, agree to disagree, right? But the thing is, people who disagree, sometimes they want to bury you, destroy you, not allow you to spread your thoughts. And we know that this is actually what happening on both sides of life. Before she told us about, the influence, the interference that we will be receiving from the spiritual world, uh, in the negative aspects, right? Trying to delay our progress. And now she says, but wait, don't worry, because there are as many or more, and of course, more powerful spirits that are not only reincarnating, but that are on the spiritual world and are helping those that came with missions and helping everyone that is committing to change their way of being. But it's a battle. It is a battle with ourselves, and we know that we have to be alert up to the last breath, because otherwise we can have to start all over again, and we don't want to lose all the progress that we have done now and everything that we have achieved. So that's why she says, don't even engage in fighting back. Uh, let's just keep our vibration, understanding that we were there at some point in time, and keep on, taking care of ourselves, and knowing that progress, the light will prevail. Comments, questions?
It's not happy at all to see how many times we are involved with this kind of situation, and we cannot do anything real in real success, with real success. Then, because every time when I'm disappointed because someone else cannot understand what I try to share, my ideas and all lessons, and learning every day, then I feel so disappointed. And here is so clear, sometimes we cannot do anything. It's
It's,
part of
yeah,
this situation
yeah, you see,
in
Sonia,
our planet.
yeah, I think this is what we have to learn is, remembering when we are flying, they say if there is the compression in the airplane, the masks are going to fall, but put yours first before you reach to a child. You see, I think in a way it's very much what we have to do in terms of spiritual improvement. Um, we have, loved loved ones and family members, relatives, close family members or relative, they are not in the same page as we are, and this is very much frustrating to us, disappointing. And you want to do something, it's like, I want to go there and break the cocoon. But we know that not only we are not capable of doing that, if we do that, the caterpillar will not yet be transformed into a butterfly. And it's hard and sad because we have to, kind of really cross our arms and sit and watch. And the thing is, in this process, we may lose sight of what we have to do for ourselves. We should be disappointed with ourselves, with our thoughts, with the words we are still using and our behaviors, and not that of others. And when I say others, I'm saying the ones that God has placed to be under the same roof, or to be this close family. And I mean, if we are as powerless to do that with us and with our loved ones, we may think, how can I change the world? And this is, the idea of big that loses us in doing what is actually required from us. You are the world. Pay attention to you. Do the change yourself, like Gandhi says. If you want to see peace, changing the world, change yourself. So if everyone would be doing that, and many people may think that we, by saying that we are being selfish, but it's not. This is the aim of our life. We came here to work on our spiritual involvement, and of course to help others that are near us. But this helping is not as we think, by keep on chatting and preaching and trying to brainwash wash them, but it's very much like making them realize by themselves, well, look how different it is, uh, the their behavior in relation to others, and everything that comes with it. So yeah, but I understand we want more. Right. We want more, and I think we are doing our share. And it doesn't mean that we have not to do anything. When I said cross our arms, what I mean is we all know from experience, right? How much we have tried with so many people, and so far, in many cases, we have not succeeded, right? But in some cases, we have.
Yes.
And most importantly is for us to not dismay, because this can really lead us to say, what is the point? I mean, I can even save the one that is next to me that I love the most. So I'm going to, to drown myself together. It's not going to help anyone.
I think
To be
that
different, it's good. To be different is good.
so I think that through, like you said before, you started that through age, you can see how much you've changed. You can see yourself that you're not like before, that you would get upset of any little pit and pat that anybody would say or discuss. And I found that as I'm getting to push 80, can't even say that, 80, say 80.
Yeah.
A few 2 more years. I found that it doesn't disturb me as much. I am much more calmer, even though in the back of my mind it says, gee, I could have done this. No, 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 no. Relax and do what you're supposed to do. You're not going to change the world. You're not going to change the world. You're here to try to do the best, and you have to let go. But age has a lot to do with it. You calmer, and especially family members, you really want change, but it's not going to come the way we wish. We have to go through certain steps here to understand that they're individuals and I am also, and we're here to help each other. If they don't want the help, I give as much as I can. What am I going to do? Suffocate myself? I can't. I am here to learn as much as I can and follow all that they have given us, Jesus's precepts. Follow that alone. Be patient, love, indulgence. All this comes to play, and it makes me calm. Somehow or other, it's made me calmer. I get upset, but wait a minute. I can't change anyone. I could only give my love and time and effort, and then I let go. But it's I see
Go
a
ahead.
silver lining.
Go ahead, Sarah.
I see a silver lining there. So much to understand. People say, oh, you're getting old, you're getting older, but in a good way. It's good. I mean, we're learning and we're progressing, and move on and let go of all that pain that I've come along so many decades now, and it doesn't seem as much now. And thank God for that.
And you see, Sarah, we are changing the world.
I guess, yeah.
Not in the way that we wanted,
Right.
So in silence,
Yes.
right, in doing our own things, in showing that it is possible, this is how we change the world. But it's not in the speed that we would like to, of course. But let us not think that let me just finish this paragraphs here. Let nothing dampen your spirits, not give in to doubt, which is a cloud that hinders the clarity of reasoning. Struggle with your own weak forces and do not let yourself be overwhelmed. Do not surrender. The gospel is a song of ineffable joy, and it has been entrusted to you. Live it in all its magnitude, and do not grant space for fear or indolence, which will soon disappear in the heat of the redemptive battle if you remain impeccable in your duty. So it's so beautiful because she does understand, right?
Yes.
She knows. I mean, in a way, this lesson is about. I don't want you to live live your life in oblivion.
Yeah.
And at the same time unaware of what is happening, because it's not good to know that sometimes we are just being like marionettes of the world. Not it would be good if at this point we were God's marionettes, because we know that God would decide better for us. But no, we're being marionettes of this world's tendencies that are not necessarily good. So she brings us this awareness. She says about our possibilities and commitments when she says, you are here. You are a member of that sublime flock, like we said before. But then she says, nobody's saying that it's going to be easy.
It's not gonna be easy.
No, it's not going to be easy. And then she understood all that by saying, I know that that was hard, but do not, let yourselves, your spirit soul be in doubt, or give up because you are all overwhelmed. You have the necessary tools
Mm.
to deal with all that. We have, the armor, so to say, that is the gospel, meaning the lessons, the examples of Jesus. And then she says, soon enough, we will be getting out of this battlefield
So,
and hopefully victoriously, right? It depends on us.
beautiful.
Yeah, then next week she talked about resort to prayer, right?
That's most important.
Yeah, right. It's oh my God. When I heard this lesson today, I said, well, that is going to be a hard one because it is what all of us are living right now. It's and like we said here, right? Some of you said how overwhelming it is.
Hmm.
But then she says, remember, you're not alone. Remember, the spirits are there. They are there to guide you. You have the written messages. You have your own possibilities, your commitment. You just have to struggle a little longer.
Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay.
This is beautiful.
Yes.
She is an angel, an angel.
Yes.
Thank you for her.
Thank you. Thank you for her.
Okay.
Okay.